Good afternoon once again, Facebook friends and family. I am excited to be here with you once again to this special broadcast. These broadcasts are catered for single women raising sons, not only, but it is catered to them. I have with me a special guest today. But before I go to the guests, let's have some housekeeping. These broadcasts are leading up to a conference that I would be hosting on the 23rd of April at New Greater Bethel Ministries, 21532 Jamaica Avenue in Queens, New York. Topic: Raising Sons. Raising Kings, sorry. In these times when our children, especially our boys, are hearing in our society, you can't, you can't, you cannot, we are here to tell them, yes, you can. You can be everything that God has called you to be. You can be everything that you are purposed to be. So let's encourage our sons. Come out, encourage our mothers, encourage our single women, encourage our sons. It's going to be, like I said, April 23rd at New Greater Bethel Ministries, 21532 Jamaica Avenue in Queens, New York. On that day, I will have a panel of mothers and sons having some hot discussions. So come on out. There'll be two sessions, one at 12, from 12 to 3, and an evening power service from 5 o'clock. So be there. We look forward to seeing you. So right now, I'll go to my guest speaker this afternoon.
Grace and peace, grace and peace. What happened?
So
Okay.
welcome, put your hands, let me welcome my guest, Brother Kenny Carter, the founder of
Grace and peace.
FAITH, of Faith. Brother Carter, can you tell me? I know faith is an acronym. What is faith the acronym for?
The acronym of faith is Fathers Alive in the Hood.
Fathers Alive in the
So,
Hood. Okay,
yes,
great.
ma'am.
What is the purpose for Fathers Alive in the Hood?
Well, one of our main purpose is we're tuning in, or so what I say. Our focus is fatherlessness, and through fatherlessness, we tap into a place of violence that people tend to overlook. Pretty often we hear the phrase that there's gun violence, there's gang violence in our communities and things of that nature. And I'd like to just take a step back and look at things for with the whole picture. And we live in this place called America. And in America, one of the things is that I believe that the corporation, it creates its own problems and it sells a solution. So, from back since I can remember, time has been consistently repeating itself. So one of the things that we always seen is the lack of fathers in our community, the lack of just identifying some of the ones that are actually trying to do some good work. You got fathers that are working 9 to 5s, and you got some fathers who are just not in the life of their child at all. But it is my belief that fatherlessness is one of the key roots to the violence in our communities.
Great. Um, can you, what would you say to fathers who who would say, listen, my wife is doing a good job, or my son's mother is doing a good job, so I really don't need to be there. What would you say to that father?
I say that that father might have some kind of mental health issues that he might have to resolve with himself, because in all actuality we have obligation as men to make sure that our children go farther, right? And that's just the word overall. The father is just, it's exactly how it sounds. It is our duty to make sure our sons and our daughters go farther than what we actually were going in our own lives. So I'd say that that individual may not have the ability to respond, right? Because sometimes you have that big word responsibility, and you have individuals who do not have the ability to respond. So therefore, they use the cowardice way by trying to turn their backs and say, "Well, she got it. I ain't. They don't need me. I'm good." And those are the individuals who really have to work on themselves. And honestly, I believe they should have been doing that before they even decided to make a child. And we have these individuals a lot, with premature marriages, premature sexual encounters, where a child is actually the brunt of, that particular encounter, and the child shouldn't be blamed or be at fault for something his parents decided to do, which was bring him or her into this world.
Right, right. I have another question for you, Brother Carter. Um, Sometimes some fathers, they're trying to get now after maybe 20 years, 15, 16 years, they're now trying to get connected or get close to their sons. And that son is angry for obvious reasons because the father wasn't there for many years. They've never seen the father sometimes. And in some cases the father is in the house, but at the same time he might be absent. He's just could be a visiting father. But the child is angry and the child is pushing the father away. He's resentful to the father. What would you say to that father?
I would say to that father, the first thing that father needs to do is really seek and search for a relationship with God, because sometimes men are walking around as orphans, right? Orphans meaning some of us have not had fathers in our lives, and a lot of times our children become the brunt of that particular situation in our life. Like if we didn't have a father that raised us or spend that quality time that was needed, we know not how to be a father. There was no kind of um manuscript that was left to say, how to be a father, how to be a mother,
Right,
how to be a parent even.
right,
And we're at a place right now where we have to be able to tap into the closest relationship, the closest father that we may have. And I mean, for me, my Lord and Savior is Jesus the Christ. So I would have to tap into the relationship to understand that it's important for me to be able to first identify my Father who art in heaven, right?
yeah,
And then seek that relationship first, right? Because
yeah,
when I seek that relationship first, he'll give me the forgiveness in my heart, because at times I need to forgive myself, being that man that you just identified. And sometimes when you're not working on yourself, giving yourself that forgiveness, it is hard for you to try to protrude or intrude into a child's life, mainly your son or your daughter, without really tapping into the things that you need to work on yourself, because there might be some issues off the rip, because you wouldn't have had the relationship with your child that you had, um, unless you were working out the things you needed to work out.
right,
Does
right,
that make
right.
sense?
So you cannot father because you have not been fathered. You don't have,
Right.
that man doesn't have a true example of or had a true example of a father in his life. That leads me to my next question. I had a great father. My father, and I always say he was a great provider. I saw my father build our house with his own two hands. And he worked. He had a 9 to 5 job, but he would come home in the afternoon and work till late in the midnight and with us children. And I saw him work. He was a great provider. So because of that, I can identify with God as a father. and a lot of time I would run to God and I say, God, I know what a father is. I have been fathered by a great man. And so it is easy for me to say, God, you are my father. I know what a father is supposed to do. I know the responsibility of the father. I know you're a provider because of who my father was. And the Bible say, and I would say, God, you said that if our earthly father knows how to give us good things, much more you. So it is easy for me. How would you speak to that to somebody who wasn't raised by a father, or the father was absent? How can he now connect to God as a father? How difficult or how easy would that be for that child to identify with
Well,
God as a father?
I, I always say so often that our children are similar to sponges. And being a sponge, you can have a sponge in dirty water or clean water. The sponge don't know what the difference is with the water. All it does is absorb that water up. So it's important for us to want to put our children in right environments so that they can be able to have some type of discernment, or even some kind of understanding. And the only way they have understanding is with us at times, even guiding them. Even for a single mom, it's always good that she might have a brother or some kind of male figure in that son's life, so that she might be able to get some kind of assistance when it comes to his development. Because a woman could do but so much for a young
Right,
male child. And when it gets to a point where his he starts smelling himself. And when we say start smelling himself, it
right,
comes to
right.
that masculinity point. And then he starts acting as if he has a whole nother mission of for his life that you didn't have no idea about. And sometimes it's like, son, you have to just, you have to sit down
Yeah,
for a second. We have to talk. And those talks might just be those hard conversations and uncomfortable conversations, even when you talk about these things that have to be talked to with your sons. Because a lot of times it's all about the trust issues and the trust overall, period. Because when you're dealing with these situations, um you some parents may have lost that connection of trust with their young sons or their young daughters, and
hmm,
to regain that trust is going to be a task. and
right.
it, and it doesn't come into and it doesn't involve materialism. It doesn't involve buying them a new pair of sneakers or buying them a new video game and things like that. That's not what's going to help the trust out. The trust
Yeah,
thing is going to be all about trying to spend time with them and consistency. Don't be
yeah,
inconsistent, but be consistent in the love that you're showing them.
yeah. Um, like as you know, I raise two boys. They're not grown. They're 25 and 27. But I know when they were getting to that age that you just spoke about, 15, 16, and they're smelling themselves. I used to say to them, listen, I don't ever want to hear I'm grown. If you're grown, you know where to go, right? You're As long as
Right.
you're in my house, you're still my child, you're still my son, and you follow my rules. Um, so, what would you say to mothers? For example, some mothers, because they're so angry and upset with the father, the child's father, they've deprived them of a relationship with the father. They're trying to they're trying to victimize the father, but at the same time, they're punishing the child, which is not good.
They
What do you say?
they are setting up themselves for a future of disrespect from this young man. In all actuality, it's like when you're dealing with a situation and you're preventing or you're blocking or you're putting any kind of negative thoughts in this child's mind or this child's head in
Yeah,
regards to his father. you know um you're setting yourself up when this child gets older to look at you differently, because it just sometimes you just have to let things, how you say, let the cards fall as they may. And you don't have to say anything negative. You don't have to do anything. You could just allow the actions of the father to show,
Right.
what it is that he feels for his child. Because very often I say that love is an action word. And
Mhm.
due to the fact that it's an action word, it's just not about lip service. Every time you talk to somebody, yeah, I love you, or I love you, and you're telling them, yeah, I love you, but then they'll sit back and they'll watch. Is this what your love looks like?
Right.
Because it's so deeper than that, where we have to be able to exhibit love in a way that our children identifies it when they see it, they feel it when they encounter it, and it's like, all right, it's not superficial. It's not, yo, here's this video game, I gotta go to work, I bought you this right here, have a good day, I love you.
Right. No. Uh-huh.
So it's different, we definitely would have to encourage the mothers to show that consistency. That's one. Gain the trust back, because sometimes children don't trust their parents, and we're living in a time right now where um, we're seeing a lot of violence and things like that in our communities, and often I say, like I said, it's sometimes it's fatherlessness, or sometimes it's parents who are too busy to open up their child's book bag. There's parents that are just too engaged in a 9 to 5, just trying to make a lifestyle that's worth living for them and their children. The children at times they don't see these things until they get older. They don't see, how hard mom is out here working, and she's doing everything that she can in order to, you know, just to provide, especially if she's a single mom.
Right.
And it's hard, because then, the single mom, she has to even be secretive at times in her affairs, because you have some single mothers who will not bring another male that is not that child's father
Right.
inside the home.
Right.
She'll be like, you can't even meet my children at this particular time, because she's not even sure of the individual's intentions. So, certain things like that is just different.
Right.
It's just different.
Right. Yes. So I remember raising my sons, and like you said, I had to take care of everything, every aspect of my children's life, financially, emotionally. I had to provide in every way when it comes to counseling and everything. And one thing I know I was careful about. Sometimes, children will bring things home. They go to school and their friend give them something. It could even be a lead pencil. I would say to my sons, your friend is not working any place. Take it back to them. You have to be careful of what your children are bringing in the house, in the home. You have to, like you said, I would go into the backpacks in their drawer, check out to see what is happening, in their private space sometime. But there's so much you can do. Because when they meet a certain age, there is certain limit that you have to their privacy. So, and
Right.
sometimes,
And that,
yeah, fathers would come to me and say, you know, um, well, the mother doesn't want me to see the children or to see my son, or she's hindering the relationship with my son. I would say that a father, listen, that child is going to grow up, and that child is going to know who's right and who's
mhm,
wrong. I said,
who's
you do
wrong?
what you have to do as a father. Try to make the connection with your child, with your son, but that child is going to grow up and they're going to know who was right and who was wrong.
Yeah, always be able to leave that conduit open for that father to be able to do it, and without excuses. Because a
Hmm.
lot of times, men have so many different excuses when it comes to stepping up to the plate and being accountable, or even having that ability to respond. And a lot of times, it's, one of the biggest excuses I hear is about the mother of the child. And to me, that's like, bruh, that if it's over, it's over. Know how to just, like, let it be over. Let her, live her life. But at the same time, you cannot allow um your child to be fatherless. You can't allow the next man to step up and say, they calling him daddy, right? Or they calling the next man the title that you supposed to have. That right there is one of the things that I know for a fact shatters men. And if you are a man that, not fears that, but know that these are some of the things that are potentially can happen with your absence, then I advise you not to be absent. Try to stay as active as possible in your son's life, in your daughter's life, because see, at the end of the day, we are the balance that is needed in our households.
Yeah.
It's already stated that the men are the head, we're not the tail. The woman was made from a man, right? And it tells you that when he was made, it was made from his ribs. So therefore, I say, one of my statements is, in front of every good man is a good woman.
Yeah.
So, and if that being the case, then that means I have to be her foundation if she was to fall down or fall back, right? I have to be a foundation. So it's hard to see a lot of single women that's out here and they're doing their best, and when they don't have nobody to fall back on other than God,
Yeah.
and that's not what was it, that wasn't the intentions of what this world was created for, that what we was given dominion over, should I say. We were here to exhibit rulership in a way that was like dual kind of thing, because man does not mean gender. Man is a species. And when man is a species, that means the same man I have in me, you have in you. So we are here to be able to exhibit that rulership on an equal level. It's not like I'm bigger than you, you bigger than me. We have to be able to work hand in hand in raising our children, right? And one of the first families we seen is what with Cain and Abel. The son Cain killed Abel because his offering to God was more pleasing, he felt. And that was like he didn't understand the discernment of good or bad, right? He didn't understand the difference between these things, nor the work habit. So there are certain things that have to be established in our children so that they are able to know, just from the beginning. And we have to be able to take time out and
Right.
read with our children and help them understand these things that they're reading. We can't just say, "Hey,
Right.
read the Bible." Oh, go to church. No, we have to take time out because it was hard. You even as grown-ups, we can read the Bible 3 or 4 times and still get something new every time we read it.
Right. 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 So it takes a man and a woman to give birth to a child, mother and father. So we need the balance. There's so much that a mother can do, and I've spoken to lots of young men, and that's what they said. They said my mother did what she had to do, but when I get to that age of manhood, I needed my father. I needed him to transition me to that age, to that place, the place of manhood. And even with me and my boys, I know I did a good job, but when it comes to 18, 19, 20, to transition them into manhood, that was very difficult for me to do. I couldn't do it. I can talk to
Yeah,
them,
that's
I
like
can give
a
them, different experience and examples, but I think it takes a man to do that. The father specifically.
you're right. There's certain things in my DNA, right, and that I know for that I had to find out, and I had to go do uh, AfricanAncestry.com, right, and I had to go into that process of knowing this is my heritage. So when we found out the results, and I told my daughter, she was so happy, she was so ecstatic, like she had an understanding of who we are, because it
Yes.
wasn't just, oh, we're American now, we're
Yes.
Nigerian. We,
Yes.
our people come from Nigeria. We are part of Yoruba people in Nigeria.
Yes.
And she was just like, this is, yeah. And then she started going on YouTube. She started doing her research. And I'm like, this is beautiful, because now it's like, it's at a place right now where, she can identify with who she is. And a
Right.
lot of times we have, so many of us out here without an identity, that they create an identity which is also, a false identity, by the music we listen to, by the things that we allow to influence us the most. And a lot of the times, um, it is our responsibility as fathers and even as mothers, right, to protect the most valuablest thing that our child has, and that is the child's soul. And if we
Right.
don't know how to protect our children's soul,
Right.
then it is a problem because we might not even have, ours might be compromised ourselves. If you can't protect your children, so it's surely that your soul is compromised.
Right.
And we have to understand these particular things that's needed. Like I'm gonna just because I would ask you the question, but I'm gonna just say it. Like the soul is our minds, our emotions, and our wills.
Right.
Those are the three things that comprises of a man's soul. So how do you protect these? How do you protect your soul? Some may not understand this, right? We have what I call seven gates, and on our seven gates, it is. Let me tell you. Let me show you what the seven gates is. Right. This is
Okay.
one, two, three, four, five, six, seven.
Okay.
Right.
Hmm.
These seven gates, they sit here tall. So I could speak some stuff out, right? That could hurt. I could listen to some things that may influence. I may be in an atmosphere where I can be smelling some stuff I don't supposed to be smelling,
Right.
right? I can be hearing some stuff I don't supposed to be hearing. But
Right.
all of these things contribute to me building a character up. So now, if I'm a child that moms and dads say, you know what, instead of playing a video game, son, let me explain to you that you just played this video game for 5 hours.
Right.
And this book right here could show you not only how to create your own video game, but how to market it and how to produce it, right?
Right.
And this book right here could get you some millions of dollars in the near future if you put this time in reading this book about video game making as much as you like to play. Now you got to ask yourself, son, do you want to play the video game or would you rather make it? And then you try to change this whole mindset. Because sometimes, the realest question is the question that's not asked. And we tap into these particular things and we have to be able to want to. One of the first messages that Jesus gave was repent, for the kingdom of God is at hand.
Right.
Repenting means only the changing of one's mind. So if we could be able to change the mind of our children at a young age and try to keep them focused on the level of information that we're feeding them, then
Hmm.
we can actually make an impact in that child's future. But
Right.
if we're not giving them the right food, the right sources of information, that
Hmm.
we are pretty much responsible for that child's trajectory. And one
Right.
of the things I'd like to say is, trajectory is everything. So if we don't know how to give the right information to our children, we could very much well ruin the trajectory of our child. Now, this is the difference between landing inside of a college or a graveyard, a college
Wow.
or a cemetery. Whichever way you want to put it. But the overall inline is always going to be death. But the real main thing is, what do we do in the meantime, in between time? Are we going to create a
Wow.
legacy or a lie?
Wow. Wow. That's powerful. That right there is powerful. Like the Bible said, train up the child in the way he ought to go. So when he gets old, he will not depart from it. And like you said, whatever you feed the child with, what the child eats is what that child is going to become. Anybody, whatever you feed on, that is what you're going to become. You eat the word of God, you become that. Whatever you eat, whatever you study, wherever you put your focus, there is where your energy is going to go. So we have to be careful,
Right.
parents, mothers, what we feed our children, what we teach them, what we allow them to see, what we allow them to watch on television. We have to be careful, mindful, especially us single mothers. We have to be very
Right.
diligent. I remember as you were talking about reading and watching television. I remember when my boys were growing up, and especially during the vacation or weekends, I would say to them, okay, make your own schedule. And what you're going to do for the rest of the weekend, what you're going to do during the summer, you make your schedule. And they would make up their schedule, and I would look at it and said, listen, if you read for 1 hour, you just have 1 hour television or 1 hour game. So If that's all you want to do, half an hour of reading, then you have half an hour of television. And then they would extend that to maybe 2, 3 hours of reading because they want to have 2, 3 hours of television. So you have to guide them. You have to, like you said, protect them from the evil
Right.
of this world. One more question I
Yes.
have for you before we go. And I'm encountering this question for the entire week. Parents are saying, mothers are saying, when do I let go of my son? I spoke with mothers. Their son is 36, 26, 25, 30, and they don't know how to let go of their children. When do we let go?
You know when you let go, when your son has found a good thing, when your son has found, and he comes to you and say, "Mom, I found this young lady, and I'm very interested in her," and you say, "What is his intent? What's your intention, son?" He said, "Well, Mom, I wanna be a man, and I wanna marry this lady." And when he tell you that, off the rip, you of course mothers get defensive because this has been your baby boy for all that you can remember. But then at that point, there has to be a reality check, right?
Yeah,
Um, it's time for him, to move out of the nest. Whether he may
yeah.
have his own apartment or already, the nest is the nest of your heart, right?
Right,
And
right,
and he'll
right,
he'll, he'll stay within your spirit, but you have to trust. The only way you're gonna trust, because sometimes you got to make it allow your sons to make their own mistakes. You might not feel
right,
fond of the young lady that he chose to be his wife, not that you chose to be his wife, right? Because there's different situations where in other cultures they already have prearranged marriages. He don't have no say, she don't got no say. If y'all can remember Coming to America, Eddie ain't had no.
right.
Eddie ended up going to America to go find
Yes,
his wife in Queens because he had the
yes.
one wife that was in Zamunda, and this was an arranged marriage. We don't have
Good,
these
good.
things right here. So when the mother is comes to the understanding that when that son comes to her in all respect and say, "Mom, I think I found the one," you gotta let your son. You gotta trust him. You gotta trust the decision. You gotta trust that everything that you have installed in him over the years of his life, that he is now capable and able to make a rational decision to identify a woman that might be even a mirror of you or even in the same magnitude that he can actually define that love that she may be exhibiting into his life. But now it's just it's a non it's an intimate kind of love now because that's his significant other that he's chose.
Right,
So now you have to be able to say, all right, I trust in her. Not only trust in her, you know what? Let me pray. Let me pray for
right.
them. Let me pray over them. Let me ask God to be able to help me with this transition, because
Right.
sometimes mothers can't transition easily. I know some mothers to this day that's fighting tooth and nail, and the son is already married, baby on the way, and
Yes,
everything, and they still like, no, it's my baby, no, it's my son.
yes.
And listen, it's time to just chill. Pray for
Yeah,
your child, pray for your grandchildren, pray for their relationship, because in the same mouth, that mother can be the one that's praying against that relationship, right? Because you got people that can pray for you, you got people that can pray
yeah,
against you. Let's be real. So we just got to be
yeah.
able to
We
identify these things.
we have to learn to let go and let God. Let go and let God. And like I say,
Yeah.
you have to trust that you have to trust the training you give that child. You have to trust the seed that you've planted in that child. You have to trust that it will germinate, it will grow, and it will bear good fruits. And you have to trust God with your child. And that's what I did every day, and I'm still doing.
Yes.
I said, God, I trust you with my sons. You said to put them into your hands. You said give them back to you. So I'm giving them back to you. And I trust you with them. But before we go, Brother Kenny, I know you have an event coming up for Fathers Alive in the Hood. Can you tell us something about that?
Yeah, it's gonna be our first annual. At first, I was gonna do something, right? Because I got my little angel, man. And I love Chloe to pieces. And then I thought about it. You know, I got some men that's in my organization. They don't have daughters. They not a girl dad at all. So I had to change the concept of the event, and I changed it into Fathers and Families Jamboree. And
Oh, good.
Father and Family Jamboree is exactly how it's saying. If y'all never heard the word jamboree, I advise y'all to go Google it because it's a very extravagant situation where we get to throw our Sunday's best on, and we not in the house of the Lord, but yet we are in the house of believers. So it's going to be on June 3rd. The location and everything will be it's on the flyer, but it's at a nice it's a nice good space. We're gonna be able to provide dinner, entertainment, and some refreshments. And I'm gonna think about some giveaways between now and then because I'm talking about June 3rd. So it's actually something to save the date and definitely stay alert and aware. The tickets are gonna go for $40. People are gonna be able to purchase a ticket on Eventbrite. The name of the event is Fathers and Families Jamboree. Jamboree is Jamboree. And I tell you, it's a beautiful vibe. It's a beautiful vibe, and this is what we want to set forth for this new year. In every June, because we have our Father's Day cookout, which will be June 19th, which will be a
Good.
couple of weeks right afterwards. So June 19th, we're definitely going to do a big in Baisley Palm Park as we normally do. This is going to be like our 11th annual cookout where we bring some kids from Brooklyn, Far Rockaway, South Jamaica, probably even Queensbridge this year to get involved in a 1 day basketball tournament, a lot of activities for the youth, and
Sounds
some
great.
good food. So,
Sounds
and that's for
great.
June 19th, but June 3rd definitely we want people to get involved and just stay on point because this is actually one of our first small fundraisers as a 501c3 non-for-profit organization. We've been in existence since 2011. We are now
Wow.
in 2022.
Wow.
So it tells you the consistency and the work that we've been doing. And if you guys have not, if y'all don't know, please Google Fathers Alive in the Hood. And if you do know, once you Google it, please leave a review in that Google search box for our organization because we've been doing work throughout Far Rockaway, throughout South Jamaica, throughout Brooklyn, throughout Western Queens. We've also did some real pro action work out in Harlem area, and I'm looking to just expand and build up some
Great.
things. And even right now, on Tuesdays we have open registration for any for sons, right, that are from the ages of 10 to 13, and we are offering a $20 allowance for each of the young men that come in for every Tuesday, along with 2 hours of tutoring that will be administered by our older class that comes in every Wednesday. So we'll have at least 5 to 6 volunteers from our Wednesday class coming on our Tuesday class. Now Wednesday class consists of 14 to 24. So we kind of operate in a each one teach one facet, which means that we're gonna have someone that's a little bit older than your son help them in whatever issues they're having in school for at least 2 hours,
Beautiful.
which will be from
Beautiful.
3 to 5, and then from 5 to 7 we have our mentorship circles, which will be discussing topics like one of the ones that I just discussed earlier about the what is the soul, how to identify the soul, what are your 7 gates, all of these different things. A lot of people don't even understand that kind of conversation, but I assure you that we will give it to them in teaspoons so that they won't be overwhelmed. But we the space is limited. We are located. Our headquarters is located at 114-02 Guy R. Brewer Boulevard, Jamaica, New York 11434. Our suite is Suite 215. We are open from the hours of
Great.
1 p.m. to 7 p.m. We accept walk-ins. We have classes or even sessions for the fathers as well. right? So Tuesdays is for our young boys from the ages of 10 to 13. Wednesdays is for 14 to 24. And Thursdays is a Fathers Forum. And the Fathers Forum means that we are helping our fathers be the best fathers that they can be, because at times even men need to ventilate before they cry in the night. And a lot of times they find themselves crying in the nights because they don't trust too many people to speak about their issues with. So we want to create a forum of trust, integrity, communication, transparency, and then we can collaborate.
Okay, so great. So thank you so much, Brother Kenny Carter. Thank you for being my guest today. It was a pleasure having you. Please give my respect to your beautiful wife and your lovely daughter. God bless you
I
so
will
much.
do.
Thanks again.
I can't wait. I
So,
can't wait for the panel. The panel is going to be great.
you great, great. Yes, definitely. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. Just please remember the conference is going to be on the 23rd of April. It's the 23rd of April. It's a Saturday. And the location is New Greater Bethel Ministries, 21532 Jamaica Avenue in Queens, New York. The time from 12 to 3 is our panel discussion. And we also have a guest from Wheelchair Charity. Will be coming. They'll be sharing with us from their hearts. And the evening service, I have a special guest speaker that I will announce later. It's going to be powerful, impactful. Please remember to sow. There's no charge for this event, but I have bills. So please remember to sow. You can go to my cash app page. It's $ Sherin SHERIN and every Saturday at 3 o'clock, please meet me right here on this broadcast for Single Women Raising Sons. God bless you. And remember, keep trusting in God. I want to leave a scripture with you before I go. It's Psalms 125, and it says, they that trust in the Lord shall be like Mount Zion, which cannot be removed, but abideth forever. They that trust in the Lord shall be like Mount Zion, that cannot be removed, but abideth forever. Psalm 125. God bless you, and see you right here next week, Saturday at 3 o'clock. Thank you.